Listen, you don't want to take any credit away from the Golden State Warriors. Let me be very, very clear about that. Steph Curry was spectacular, especially late. Jimmy Butler was spectacular. Draymond Green had, I think, double digits in assists, and obviously he was doing what he does defensively. Give the Warriors all the credit in the world, but in the same breath, let's make sure we understand, partially anyway, what happened. Ja Morant did get hurt. And if Ja Morant, considering some of the plays that he was making, had remained healthy throughout, considering the fight that Memphis put forth, which is what we were talking about yesterday, way they fought these guys. They started off strong, faded a little bit, started off strong again in the third quarter, faded a little bit, but kept coming back, wouldn't go away. You look at Desmond Bane and what he was doing. Jaren Jackson came alive a little bit late. You saw what Ja Morant and how he tried to play through the obvious pain from that ankle injury. And then you got to think about the fact that Brandon Clark isn't there, who's a big cog for them. I would just look at it from that standpoint, not taking anything away from the Golden State Warriors, but you did find yourself saying, especially in the end, if Ja Morant had not gotten hurt, we might be saying something different this morning.
I mean, I'm going to keep it a band. I've been saying this for years. If you go back to each year with the Golden State Warriors, well, first let's talk about this. Let's talk about what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I mean, you don't want to discredit Golden State, but they've had the beneficiary of some very fortunate, and in other people's case, unfortunate injury situation that has helped them. If you go back to 2015, each round they played, guys was getting hurt from each series. Then you go to fast forward to the finals. We all know what happened with Kyrie Irving when he was getting buckets. Kyrie Irving getting hurt. We know Love was already out. So that's always one of the biggest what ifs that we talk about with that one. Then you go on to 2017. We talk about 2017, the years they won. We talk about 2017. We all know what happened. Kawhi Leonard, Spurs was up, 24 on the road in Golden State. Kawhi Leonard, a guy who's been the thorn in the Warriors' side, beat them in Toronto. I think he beat them 3 times. Well, not counting that series. I think he beat them twice. Beat them with the Raptors. Then the Spurs beat the Warriors. What was that? What year was that? 2013, I want to say. Was it 2014? One of them years, Kawhi had beat the Warriors. I think it was 2014. So when you always matter, you always wonder what if, how they could have gotten, because the Warriors was going to lose that game. Now, would they have lost the series? Who knows? That's one thing to say. That's something we probably wouldn't bet on, but it's worth thinking about. And then you look at that one, then you go on to 2018. They was down 3-2. Chris Paul gets hurt. And the Rockets had home court advantage. That's always one of the biggest what ifs. Of course, then the Warriors won Game 6. They went back to Houston. What was that? The Rockets shot, was it 5 for 22 from 3 or something like that? 5 for 29. And we always matter if they didn't chuck up all them threes and was missing. But the biggest thing is, what if Chris Paul never got hurt? Chris Paul was a guy, when he was on your team was better. When he left your team, they got worse. The Rockets, if I remember correct, was never able to get back to that point. Now, they ended up losing James Harden. We know that. But the Rockets team that was never able to get back to that point, we're going to see what they do this year. The Suns, y'all know they've been in a disarray since Chris Paul left, which was their last year. Him healthy, they was going to the finals. Say we won't, he makes teams better. Chris Paul, LeBron James, Jimmy Butler. Them guys, you put them on the squad, they instantly get better. Them 3 guys right there for sure, in my opinion. You put them on any team, they get better. Then you move on, 2019, okay, they got a break. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson end up getting hurt. We know about that in the finals. So that's another we always wonder. But like I said, it always played in both parts. They've been on the fortunate part of the injury bug. Now they're on the bad end. So it's like, well, you got to, the good and the bad. Then you look at the year they won the chip. Now, I think the teams was fairly healthy in that one. That was a really big year for the Warriors, if I'm correct. I have to go back and fact check, but I don't think too many guys got hurt in that one. But now you look at this year. So what Stephen A. Smith is saying with Ja Morant, who is to wonder what if he didn't get hurt? It was a close, tight game. They was making the runs. Who is to wonder how this would have went in this rivalry game if Ja never got hurt? You know, and like you said, they're missing the anchor down low. So it's always something to think about. I mean, you can't predict injuries. Injuries are a part of the game. But at the same time, to Stephen A's point, he makes some good points. So it's always safe to wonder, have the Warriors really been as dominant as we thought they have? Or have they just been fortunate to have been relatively healthy, should I say? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Just something to think about. We out.